Hi, welcome to my channel Ruby Statement. Today I'll be teaching you how to knit this beautiful hat. It's for a kid from 3 to 10 years old. I hope you guys like it and give it a try, and here is the list of material you're going to need to make it. If you are not already a subscriber, please subscribe and click on the little bell. That way you get notification each time I upload a video. Remember, I make my videos in Spanish and English. If you receive a Spanish video and you want to see it in English, go to the main page of my YouTube channel that you will find it in there. I also have a playlist in English, so they're all there in that group. To make this hat, I'm gonna use these the loops and thread wall-like simile. They are super fine 100 grams, 620 meters, and 85% acrylic, 15% nylon. And the color of this one is a charcoal, this one's red, and this one is ivory. I'm gonna use 3 strands of each because they are super fine one. I'm going to use leftover that I have from this color, so I don't know exactly the amount of yarn that I'm going to use because I need just a little bit of this. The circular needle are 16 inches long and a 4.5 for the brim and is 5 millimeters for the top of the hat. You're going to need a marker, measurement tape, tapestry needle, and scissors. I have these pom-poms that I bought at Dollarama for $1.25. They are from Loops and Lion brand, and there's 2 of them. I'm gonna use a button to sew the button and then to wrap around these inside. That way I don't have to cut the elastic. And you're gonna need needles and thread to sew the. Something else that you're gonna need is a cable needle. Okay. Something that I wanted to mention before I start with the hat is that this hat is for William, that he will be 3 years in February. So this is for kids from 3 to 10. The amount of stitches is perfect, but the length you have to, depend on the age, you have to just give a little extra length for older kids because it's a big difference between 3 and 10. Only by the length is perfect because the width is this stretch a lot. That is if you're using the same material that I'm using, the same yarn and the same needles, because the same amount of stitches that I cast on with this one, I cast on for another hat, but with different yarn, and it will be an adult size hat. This one here, no, and it's the same amount of stitches, 84 stitches in this one, 84 stitches in this one, and just by changing the yarn, this one is much bigger. Okay, I wanted to mention that just in case you go and use this type of yarn and the same amount of stitches, and it will be an adult size hat. I just wanted to mention that, so you know. That's depend. The yarn make a big difference, okay, when you're doing a project. So I wanted to mention that. For this one, I use a 4.5, the same as here, but for the top, I'm using a 5.5 in this one. And look at the difference at the size of the stitch from this one. Okay. So the only thing, if you don't have this type of yarn and you have this type and you want to do this size, the only thing that I can do is recommend to try removing 14 stitches because it's multiple of 14, or you can use a smaller size needle. You can use, for example, a 3.5 for here and a 4 millimeter for the top, and that automatically will make the hat. So now we're going to leave the tail long enough, and this is a 4.5 millimeter needle. The 5 is for the top. So like I always show you how you're gonna do the long tail cast on. Here I have my 3 strands. So I'm gonna wrap in here like 20 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. You let go, you fold it in half, 20 and 20 is 40. You fold it and grab it here when you fold it, and that you have for 40, and then you measure that twice, that will be for 80, and when you have the 80 you will leave a piece around like this for the extra 5 and a little tail to lose after. Okay, here I have the tail. Now I'm gonna do a slip knot, and make sure if you're using a thin yarn like this with 3 strands that you pass the 3. I'm gonna secure that one there, and then you're gonna do, this is the tail and this is the one attached to the little ball of yarn, and then you're gonna start casting on your stitches. See, you have it like this. When you pull in here, you're gonna pass under and top, wrap and pass it through, under and top, wrap and pass it through. Like that, you're going to continue casting on your stitches until you have your 85 stitches. Okay, always like this, and you see I'm holding with these 2 fingers the rest to give it tension, and then when I bring it here I pass it under, and then on top of that one and through that loop that I created in the thumb, and with the thumb I pull just a little bit to make it smaller, that stitch. Like this, you see, at the same time, and passing like that. Like that, you're gonna continue until you have all your stitches. For mine are 85. Once you finish your cast done, you're gonna do a knot with the tail to secure the last stitches, and we're gonna start with the tubular cast done. So we're gonna start without closing the circumference, and we're gonna start with the net. Yarn to the front as to purl, and you're going to pass that purl without working. Yarn to the back and net. Yarn to the front as to purl, and you're going to pass that purl without working. Yarn to the back and net. And yarn to the front, a purl without working. And make sure that you pass your 3 strands of yarn. Always working the 3 strands if you're working with these yarn. Okay, and still we have our work open. In the next round we're going to close the circumference, so you're going to continue. Now pass the purl without working, a net, yarn to the front, the purl without working, and like that you're going to continue until the end. You start with a net and you'll finish with a net. I finished that round with a net. Now we're going to close our circumference. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this stitch. I'm going to place my marker. I'm going to place it back. Now to close the circumference, what we're going to do, we're going to pass this one into this needle. And that last one here, before the marker, we're going to pass over that one. If you like, with your finger you can pull that one bigger. I have it here, and pass it over that one. It's easier that way. And then when you pull here, pull tight, that way you close this and here. So now we're going to do the reverse of the row before. We worked the net and passed the purl wasn't working. Now we're going to pass the net and work the purl. So that net we pass without working. Yarn to the front, work your purl. Yarn to the back, pass that net, but from the strand and the front like a purl. You're going to pass it to the other needle. Yarn to the back, to the front, purl. Yarn to the back, pass the net, you see, all is from the front. Yarn to the front, purl. So now you're passing the net and working your purls. Pass the net, yarn to the front, work your pearl. And like that, you're going to continue all the way around, and you start with that net and you're going to finish with the pearl. Now we're going to work a 2x2 rib. I did a 1x1 to create this nice tubular cast on. Now, if you want, you can continue with the 1x1, but for mine, I'm going to do a 2x2. I know we did 2 rows at 1x1, but we're going to change that now. So you can work with this for this pattern here, and you will need it anyway to work on the design at the top of the hat. So what you're going to do, the first stitch that you have after the marker is a net, okay? So you're going to net that one. I close up the camera, that way you can see a little bit better. You net the first one. Now the next one is a purl. So what we're going to do is you're going to grab that purl with this needle. You're going to pass it to the back, and the next one is a net, so you're going to net the net. So we are switching them around, okay? Just those 2 stitches. Now you will pass the purl back to your needle, and now yarn to the front, and you will work that stitch as a purl. So the next one is a purl, you'll purl that one. The next one is a net, you'll net that one. And now the second net, you have to switch around. You see, not all the stitches you have to do that. So you move the purl, leave it in the back, and then the net, you net that one. You place the purl back if you want, or you can do the purl with this needle. I'm just passing it back, that way it's easy for you to see. Yarn to the front, you purl the first one, purl the second one, and then you see I start doing my 2x2 rib. And then you do the first net. It's just when you're going to do the second net that you have to switch them around, okay? So you move that purl, leave it in the back, do this net. If you like to work with this one, what you do, you pass the yarn to the front and you do the purl with that one, and then you do your next purl, and like that you're going to work your 2x2 rib all the way until the end of this row. Okay, so I'm going to show you again. You'll think there's a little fiddly to do, but let me tell you, the result is amazing. Amazing 2x2 cast on with the tubular cast on is the easiest to do. So you're gonna net the first one, and it's only when you have to do the second net that you have to do this. Pass the purl to the back, net the next one. You see, and in the same needle here, you just pass the yarn to the front and purl that one in the back here. Purl the next one, and again you're gonna net the first one, and it's only in this row, in the third row. The rest will be just a regular 2x2 rib, okay? So you net this one, you move the purl to the back, you go to net the next one. If you like, it'll be easier for you to place the purl on the needle, yarn to the front, purl that one, and the next one I was going to do the 1x1. And again, you will continue like that, and look how nice this border looking here. So you start with the net, 2 net, and you're gonna finish with 2 purl. So I will show you here again. Net the first one. Even if you like, you can remove the purl, hold it with your finger, net this one. That's how easy it is. and then in here you pass that, and here, and you purl. But this one like that, it will be a little more, you know, if you pull in that stitch go, you will lose the stitch. It's better to do it with the needle, okay? But that's another option. And like that, you continue. I'll meet you here at the end. I finished that round, so we're gonna work in the fourth round. So the first one was a 1x1 rib. You knit the net and pass the purl without working. The second, we close the circumference, and then we pass the net and we did the purl. And in the third one, we did this stitch where we cross 2 stitches. That way we can make the 2x2 rib. Now in this fourth round, we're gonna work just regular 2x2 rib. No more twists and turns. 2 nets and 2 purl. Two net and 2 purl. And like that, you're gonna continue working excuse me, all the way around, and you want to work for 1 inch of the 2x2 rib. So once you have that inch, I will meet you here. I have my inches done, 1 inch, and that inch was 6 row, counting every single one, okay, even the ones that I did for my circular cast on. So now with the red, we're gonna come here. You're gonna leave the ivory in place because we're gonna use that after. You're gonna start to knit, to purl. To knit, to purl. Like that, you're going to continue all the way until the end of this round. I finished that row. Now you're going to do 2 more with the red, 2 more at the same repetition of 2 net and 2 purl. After that, we'll cut the red, and you have done with the red because we're only going to need the red for those 3 rows, so you only need a little bit. And then after that, we're going to continue with the ivory, okay? So do this row and the next one of the 2x2, and I will meet you here to change color again, okay? So I finished those 3 rounds with the red. Now we're going to change to the ivory, and now you can cut this, leaving a tail long enough to secure that one. And now with the ivory, you're going to continue working 2 net, 2 purl, okay? And I will secure the red behind my stitches, okay? So 2 net, 2 purl, and I will meet you here at the end of this row. Remember, we're already done with the red, so we only needed that red for that little stripe. I finished the round. Now we're going to continue with this color until we have 2.5 inches in total. I measured this, I have 1.5, so I had to work for another 1 inch. And look how nice that look. Look at this beautiful border and very stretchy. Okay, so work for the other inch. That's why I recommend to have a measurement tape. That way you can guide yourself by the measurements. So once I have my 2.5 inches, I will meet you here. And remember, it's just the 2x2 rib. Okay. Here I have my desired width. Now we're going to change the knitting needle size to a 5mm, and we're going to change the color of our yarn. Now you can cut this one leaving the tail long enough to sit loose and secure. And we're gonna work now with the gray color. Now we're gonna work in the first row of our stitch. At the same time, we're gonna change the size of the needles and do the new color. But don't worry, it's very easy stitch. So I'm gonna hold the white one here. I'm gonna put this one in the front just for a few. That way I can trap this one in the back. And with the gray, I'm gonna net 2. Always moving the white out of the way. This one is a little more difficult, the first one. And you're gonna take out the gray, and you're gonna do another one, 2 net. You don't have to trap this in the back. I like to trap it in the back, so just those 2 are the ones that are a little more fiddly to do. Now you can pass this one to the back, the needle, and you're gonna do 2 purls. So 2 net, 2 purls. Now we're gonna do 8 nets. So now in the net is what I'm gonna trap the white again. Okay, so that's 1. Sorry. 2. Let me move this out of the way and grab this more properly. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 nets. Let me see. We count again. So you have to make sure that you have the right amount of stitches. So I had 2 net, 2 purl, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 nets. Now 2 purls. And that is the repetition that we're gonna do. Okay, those 14 stitches. We're gonna start with 2 nets, 2 purls, and 8 nets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 2 purls. And like that you're going to continue all the way until the end. So you start with 2 net and you finish with 2 purls. So just 2 net, 2 purl, 8 nets, 2 purl, and again 2 net, 2 purl, 8 net. So I finished that round. Now I'm gonna do a knot with the tail and working yarn to close the little gap, and I'm gonna place my marker, and then we're gonna do round 2. And round 2 is exactly the same repetition of round 1. Again, we will start with the 2 net, and I'm gonna trap a little bit the tail as I work, and that's optional. So I'm gonna start with my 2 net, and only I trap the strand and the nets. So I'm gonna pass under, do my first net, lifting that one out of the way and pulling the working yarn, and do the second one, 2 net, yarn to the front, 2 purl. I don't trap the yarn in the pearls because we are working the pearls in the front. Now I will trap them a little bit more in this 8 net, but only in 4 because I don't have a long tail. So I just want to leave a little piece to secure later. So to do that, I pass, as you see, this is the tail, pass left and pull out the working yarn. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm gonna leave that tail there. Continue with 5, 6, 7, and 8 net, and now 2 purls. And that's the repetition that we're gonna do in this row. 2 net, 2 purl, 8 net, 2 purls. I did a second row. I already worked in this part in here, from the marker to here, recording in Spanish, but it's the same repetition that I'm gonna show. Just pretend that you have your marker there, and then you're gonna start with your first stitches. Okay, that is 2 net. Let me remove the marker. Okay, it's just I don't want to frog this part and to record in English. Okay, but it's exactly the same. As you start, you have the marker. You're gonna start with 2 net. Now you're gonna do 2 purls, and we're gonna work in the A net stitch. Now we're gonna use our needle or cable needle. We're gonna C for B, and then after that C for front. So you're gonna grab the 2 net stitch and you're gonna place them to the back. That's the cable needle to the back. You're gonna work the 4 stitch. You see those 4? That's why 4 C for back. Okay, we're gonna work those 4 and through the back. So you're gonna net the next 2 stitches. You see, like that, having those 2 in the back. Net 2. Now you're gonna net these 2 that you have in the cable needle. You can net them with a cable needle. For me, it's much easier to knit with that, or you can pass them to your knitting needle. Now is C for F, so you leave your strand in the back. You're gonna grab your next 2 stitches. You're gonna leave them in the front. You're gonna knit the next 2 stitches, and now you're gonna knit these 2 on your cable needle, and that is what I mean. And now you're gonna purl the next 2, and that is the repetition in row or round 3. Okay, so again, you're gonna knit 2, purl 2. Those 2 and 2 I always stay the same. Just the change is in those A stitches, and then only in this row. Okay, so again, with the strand on the back as to net, you're gonna pass those 2 first stitches to your cable needle, and you're gonna place them in the back, and you're gonna knit the next 2 stitches. Now you're gonna knit these 2 on your cable needle, and if you like, you don't have this type of cable needle that you don't can knit with it, you're gonna pass them to your working needle, and you're gonna knit those 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and now you're gonna grab your cable needle. You leave always your strand in the back, and the next 2 net stitch you're gonna leave them on the front, and you're gonna knit the next 2 on your working needle. And if you're passing these, you're gonna pass those 2 to your working needle, and you're gonna knit those 2, 1 and 2. You're gonna purl the next 2 stitches, and then you again do the repetition. So I have 6 of those repetitions, so I did 3 in Spanish. I'm gonna do these 3 in English. So I will show you again. So again, you're gonna start with the net 2 and purl 2. Now you are with the 8 nets, your 2 first stitches, you pass them on the back, and I really recommend these cable needles. I forgot where I bought them, but they're easy because your stitch stay there in that little lump, and you can work with those needles. Okay, so you're gonna net the next 2 stitches, net the 2 on the cable needle, leave the strand in the back, go to the next 2 net stitch, leave them on the front, net the next 2 stitches in your working needle, and then next you're gonna net these 2 and your cable needle. There's my 3 strand. And now you are to the front and you purl your 2 stitches, and like that you finish. And for me, I finished. You will have to continue to do the repetition 3 more times. Okay, so now we're gonna work in round 4. So once you finish, we're gonna do round 4, and round 4 is the repetition of 1 and 2. I already did the first in Spanish. So you're gonna start with your marker here. You're gonna do 2 net, 2 purls, eight nets, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and you're gonna do 2 purl, and like that you're gonna continue all the way around in this repetition. So you're gonna do 2 net, 2 purl, 8 net, 2 purls. So I will show you one more time. So what you do is 2 net, you're to the front 2 purl, you're to the back 8 nets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and you're gonna do 2 purls, and like that you're gonna continue in round 4. So I finished that round, and those are the first round repetition that you're gonna do for the design of the hat, and you'll see how beautiful it will look. So here in my piece of paper, I have each time I have to do those 4 repetitions. So I did 1, 2, 3, and 4, and now I'm working on 1. Each time I do 1, I circle, so that way I know the stitch is always in number 3. the design. Okay, so it's very easy to do and to guide yourself. So I did this little piece in Spanish. Let's start like you have the marker in here, and you're gonna start with 2 net, 2 pearls, A nets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 2 pearls. Like that. Now you start again with a repetition. 2 net, 2 pearl, A net, 2 pearls. Now in number 2 is exactly the same repetition of 1. Remember, only in number 3 is where you're gonna use your cable needle and do the stitch. Other rows stay exactly the same. 2 net, 2 pearl, 4 net, 2 pearl. So it's a very easy stitch and it looks amazing. So you're gonna start with 2 net, 2 pearls, A nets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 2 pearl. And like that you're going to continue and this repetition, that is a repetition of round 2. So once you finish the repetition of 2, we're going to go to 3, and this will be round 7 with this color. So we're going to do the 2 net, 1 and 2. Remember, you are working just past the marker. 2 pearl, 1 and 2, yarn to the back. Now we're going to work with our cable needle. The first 2 stitches you leave it on the back, and now you're going to knit these 2 stitches. Now you're going to knit the 2 stitches on your cable needle. 1 and 2. Leave the strand in the back, and with the cable needle we're going to work the other side of the stitch. So you're going to grab 1 and 2, leave them on the front this time, and we're going to knit these 2, 1 and 2. Now you're going to knit the 2 on your cable needle. One and 2. Yarn to the front 2 pearls, and that's the repetition that you're going to continue in this row. Yarn to the back to net, yarn to the front 2 pearl, yarn to the back. You're going to grab those 2 net, leave them on the back. You're going to knit the 2 stitches on your working needle, and then you're going to work the next 2 on your cable needle, and always knit. Okay, so knit those 2, leave the strand in the back, and now we're going to pass those 2 net to the front. and you're gonna knit these two. You're gonna knit the two on the cable needle. And now you purl two. And like that you're gonna continue with that repetition all the way until the end of this round. And right now you don't see the stitch, you don't see like much, but once you do a few more repetitions you will see how beautiful it'll look. Now to finish this group you're gonna do the repetition of row 1 and 2 here in the number 4. That is exactly the same. Repetition of 4 is to knit, to purl, a net, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and now 2 purls. So like that you're going to continue in this one. So this is repetition of 4, and then you start all over again. Row 1 and 2 exactly the same as this one. Row 3 you do the stitch with the cable needle, and then row 4 is the same, the repetition of 4, and so on. So it's those 4 row repetition. I'm gonna do this for 3 more repetition, and I will show you, that way you can see how the stitch is coming along. Okay, so I done another repetition, and look how beautiful the stitch look. So I'm gonna continue with this repetition until I have the length that I want for mine. Yeah, look amazing. I'm gonna work until I have 7.5 inches from the border. Okay, you have to measure from the border to have 7 or 7.5 inch here. Okay, if you want this for a little bit older kid, and then you can give it 8 inches. Okay, so remember this one is for a kid from 3 to 10, so you just play with a 7.5 is a little bit older. If it's a little bit younger, you do a little less, you know. So I will meet you here when I have the length, and I will let you know how many repetitions I did for mine. Here I have the length for mine, and I did 8 repetitions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I finished here with the repetition of row 4, so a complete motif, and it measures 7 inches, and look how nice it look. So now we're gonna do 1 round of knit, all the stitches knit. So I will meet you here at the end of this round. Okay, after you finish that knit round, we're gonna do a round of decrease, and it will be 2 together, 2 together, 2 together, all the way around. Okay, and a knit stitch. So that one and this one's together, 2 together, 2 together, so all the way around. Okay, 2, 2, and 2, and a knit stitch. After you finish that round, you're going to do a round of knit with no decrease. So you're going to knit all your stitches. And then when you finish this round, I will meet you here, okay? Once you finish the round, you're going to do another round of decrease. So it will be 2 together, 2 together, 2 together, and a knit stitch. And it starts to be a little bit more difficult to work the stitches because you have fewer stitches on your needle, okay? Put it together. So like that you're gonna continue, and I'll meet you here at the end of this round. So once you finish that round, we're gonna cut the tail long enough to pass through those stitches a couple of times and tie it up, secure it in the inside, and that's the way I done the decrease for this hat. So now you're gonna secure this one and lose the rest of the tails. And remember, this one is for William. William will be 3 in February. So this size is from 3 to 10 years old, but the length that I give to this one is for William that are gonna be 3. You don't can give the length of a 3 years old to a 10 years old. So I did 7 inches for mine. If yours is a little bit older, let's say around 5, you can do 7.5, and then a little bit older 8.5 inches, but the width is the same because this is a very stretchy hat. Okay, so I will lose the tails of my hat. Okay, look how gorgeous the hat look. I really love this hat. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove one of these pom-poms from here. I'm gonna sew the button in the inside, and then I'm gonna secure the pom-pom by wrapping around the button a few times in this. That way I don't have to cut it, but it look amazing. So that's what I'm gonna do now. When you're gonna sew the button in the inside, don't sew it right in the center, because through that center is where you're gonna pass the cable of the pom-pom. Now if you have more than one kid at home and you want to do this hat for them, and that way you can make them a little bit different, since these pom-poms is 2 of them, you can do one with one on each side like this, like for a little girl, and you have a boy with a pom-pom in the center, and that way they're a little bit different. Or you can do the 2 pom-poms no matter for a boy or a girl. So now in the inside, right here, is the center. So you're gonna sew the button a little bit to the side. That way you can pass this in the center. So I have my needle ready to do that. So this is the leftover that I have from the charcoal color. I use that one from the new bowl. These one are leftover that I have from another bowl. So I still have enough in here to do the matching neck warmer or cowl. Remember, for kids or babies, I don't like to do a scarf because they're a little bit more dangerous because they can get caught with something and pull in the baby's neck or kid's neck. So we have to be, you know, always looking for a way to have our kids safe. So a neck warmer or cowl is more appropriate. So that's what I'm gonna do next week with this leftover, the matching set. So here is the end result of our hat, and it looks amazing. Without noticing, I saw this where I have the seam, and here where I start and end my hat here. So if you look at the border, it's perfect. It's very even, and this is very stretchy. It's an amazing rib stitch, the tubular 2x2 cast on. So for now on, I will be doing my 2x2s like this, or my 1x1 the way I've been doing so far, because it is amazing, and you will see once you try it, you will love it as well. So I hope you guys like it and give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you are not already a subscriber. And if you make this hat and you want to send me some picture, you can do it through my Facebook page Ruby Stem and Crochet or my Instagram Ruby Stem and Crochet. Please share my videos with friends and family, that way you help me grow here in YouTube. I wish you have a beautiful day.